Dear viewers, welcome to a very special edition of NASCOM Insights Leader Talk. Today we are in Pune at the office of Ansys. Ansys is an American multinational company with its headquarters in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. It develops marketing, advanced engineering software, simulation software, which is used for product design, testing, and operations. Ansys is a $2.27 billion company in 2023 and has more than 6,000 employees and customers across industries, markets, and segments. This is what Ansys is today. And to know more about what is driving Ansys, a deeper understanding of what really drives Ansys, we have with us Mike Yeager, who's Area Vice President, who looks after India and Japan today for Ansys. And Mike has been involved in this industry, in the CAD CAM industry for almost 30 years, and is a firm believer that the power of simulation is going to accelerate innovation for Ansys customers. To know more, let's get started. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Well, thank you very much, and it's great to be here, and looking forward to having a discussion on these topics and discussing more of the perspectives of the market in India and how we are engaging with the market to drive simulation forward here in India.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. So, Mike, before we get started, a little bit of a recap on your personal background. You've been in the Army. You've worked across multiple industries, multiple clients. So, what are your role models? What are your inspirations? What really got you over here today at Ansys? Your story, please.
Yes. No. Thank you for that. So it's a bit of a twisted and windy path, as it often is, as you can imagine. But yeah, I did have a brief stint in the military right after college. I enjoyed that very much. I learned a lot. Those are, to this day, some of my very best friends were from the military. And then after that, I spent a little bit of time in the healthcare industry, and that's when I finally, after a few years there, landed in sort of this CAD and CAE world that I've been in now, as you mentioned, for 30 years. That sounds like a long time, but it actually went by very fast, as you would imagine, and it's been a lot of fun. So during that that journey within the CAE industry, I've had the opportunity really to do some amazing things. I feel like the CAE industry, we're kind of right in the front row of seeing innovation and all these amazing things that have happened over the last several decades, and so I've had an opportunity to live in different parts of the world during this career. I lived in Europe for a little while, Canada, also have spent a lot of time in North America, and now, as you mentioned, also I've recently relocated to the Asia Pacific region, and I'm living in Japan and spending a lot of time here in India. So I feel very fortunate. It's been a great journey up to this point, and really, when I think about the role models and sort of motivational people in my life, for me, it just goes back to when I grew up. So I think in India you would refer to it as a village. Mm-hmm. Where I come from in the U.S., it was a small town. It was a farming community, basically, and really the people that I was surrounded by, that's where I learned all the valuable life lessons about hard work, honesty, fairness, how to do things the right way. And so I had to look no further than my parents and people in my community for those role models and examples to be inspired by. And I still draw on that to this day. So it's been a lot of fun, and I think there's more to come. It's not over yet.
Sure, great, Mike, and thank you for bringing the focus back onto family and community, because that's something that people don't talk much about, but I think that still holds true for all of us, right. Whether you like it or not. Mike, we are in interesting times. We are living in interesting times. There's several mega trends that are actually impacting different industries, different customers that you handle. Would you like to really talk about what do you see as mega trends that are impacting your customers today?
Yeah. So be happy to, for sure. And really we interact with a lot of industry verticals at Ansys. So the simulation technology is kind of a general use technology. It can be leveraged across many industries. So we get, again, kind of that front row seat to what's happening with these mega trends in these different industries. And I would say one of the big ones today, recently, is autonomy. We're seeing that not just with mobility on the ground, but also with mobility in the air. And certainly that is one of the big mega trends. Also, kind of along the same lines, electrification. We're seeing how that is really changing the way that many products are designed and conceived, from the ground up. It's disrupting supply chains. We're seeing a much bigger software content as a result of this electrification across many industries. And, another mega trend that's, I think, been around for a while, we've been talking about IoT, really for probably close to 20 years, from my memory. And it's kind of been rolling across different industries over that time. And I would say right now, healthcare is the next industry to get impacted by IoT, because with the sensors and the monitoring and all the diagnostics that you can do with IoT devices in the healthcare area, I think we're going to see the way that healthcare is delivered and incorporated into our lives is going to change. And it's going to be as a result of these IoT developments, of the way that we treat, diagnose, and ultimately prevent disease and conditions is going to be impacted by IoT. That's just driven by this technology innovations within that area. So, those are some of the trends. There's some other really big ones out there. Obviously, there's, always the next G, and that's going to be 6G, additive manufacturing. There's material science advances, where we're going to have new materials to use in different products, and cloud computing. And then, the big one, of course, is AI, ML. We could spend the whole day discussing that, but that's just now starting to have a big impact on simulation, and it's going to change the simulation industry just like it's going to change most industries. And we're really just at the beginning of that journey with AI, ML, and simulation. So, quite a bit going on for everybody to keep track of.
Yeah, interesting times, as I keep saying. And, I think post-COVID, technology adoption really did increase. But I think there's still significant headroom in different industries for growth of technology. But what are challenges that you see? What are challenges that different industries are facing when it comes to adoption of technology?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because none of this stuff happens easily. There's always challenges to be overcome every time there's a shift in technology or new technology coming online. And again, with simulation, our role is really to help people design, innovate faster, design better products, higher quality, reduce the cost of products and product design. And so, as you're trying to do that, a lot of the low-hanging fruit, I think, has been sort of harvested, if you will. Now we're getting some very complicated areas and challenges as we continue to push forward, just managing this complexity and adopting the emerging technologies, dealing with, again, this massive complexity that these new products and technologies bring to bear. There's always the safety and compliance regulatory regime, which is constantly changing. That's very hard to keep up with. The skills part of it, and finding the right resources with the right skills as things are evolving so fast, is another sort of huge area for people. And just the collaboration, the cross-functional collaboration. And then, anytime you talk about innovation, there's a lot of IP involved, and that's another very complicated area where, you've got to make sure that you're protecting your IP rights, you're not violating others' IP rights, and it can be a lot. But it's, those are all challenges that have to be dealt with and overcome, for us to keep pushing this forward.
Sure. I think the world is completely becoming more and more complex, as you rightly said.
Yeah.
But how can simulation really address some of these challenges and accelerate the adoption of technology, which can be a boon for everyone?
Yeah. That's a really good question. And at a high level, what we say and we believe and we see every day is that simulation is really a cornerstone of digital engineering. So, pretty much every company in the world today is on some kind of a digital engineering, digital thread journey. And you really cannot fully take advantage of that kind of a program unless you have simulation at the heart of it. And, when you think about some of the stuff that you can do with simulation, just to illustrate this point of how, how important this trend is and how critical digital engineering is, you can simulate in a virtual manner the driving of millions of miles across thousands of driving scenarios and design parameters, and you can do that all virtually and do it today with a reasonable budget and a reasonable time frame using simulation. Another aspect of simulation that is fairly new to us at Ansys is we have developed and acquired some technology around actually being able to simulate the mission of products. So you're not just taking the insights you get from sort of the physics simulation, the core physics simulation, what Ansys is noted for, but you can bring those insights up into a system or a system of systems and actually see what happens across a virtual validation of a mission of a spacecraft or an aircraft or many other products. So, in that way, simulation is not just about, let's figure out this question on physics at the component level, but it's now up to the system level, the system of systems level, and really you can do pretty much everything virtually before you have to go start building products today, which is a huge step forward for companies.
And so the follow-up question naturally, Mike, is that for your customers, how are you partnering with your customers to drive this transformation? And what are key priorities to drive customer success? You can share some customer stories also that you may have seen, interesting ones that you may have come across.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, for Ansys, for us, I think that we kind of start the thought process in that area with a commitment to an open ecosystem. So simulation is big and it's important, but it's not everything, right? You need a lot of other technology around simulation to get the value out of simulation, and you need a lot of partners across the ecosystem, to really deploy and roll this out. So from an Ansys standpoint, we really focus on that open ecosystem, and a couple of examples that I can share along those lines are, and this is just over the last several years here in India, we do these COEs, these Centers of Excellence, and we've done one with the Automotive Research Association in Pune. This one happened to be focused on energy storage, ADAS, and electric vehicles. We've done another COE recently with TCS. This one was more of an advanced digital engineering COE, which is the topic I was just talking about in terms of the kinds of things that are capable with digital engineering. And that one is really more about EVs again, and has to do with the powertrain and how you incorporate these brand new powertrains, into the overall vehicle system. So, those are some of the examples of some of the things we've done here locally. And then also we stay very engaged with the advanced research organizations. We develop specific curricula with them in order to help educate and to drive the adoption. And then the academic part is also very important, putting the simulation technology in the hands of students as they're learning their particular engineering craft, whatever area it is, and making sure that they come out of the colleges and universities, ready to go and ready on day one to utilize this technology in their careers as they start out.
Great, Mike, and you did touch upon it, shortly. But how important is India today for Ansys, and how are you leveraging the India talent and innovation ecosystem in the country? Because we are, India is full of GCCs. More than 1,700 GCCs are there in India. A lot of MNCs are here. India is a big tech country, tech talent nation, right? So how are you leveraging that? Any anecdotes you would like to share?
Yeah, no, happy to talk about that for a little bit. So India is a very important market, for Ansys, as it is for any company, technology company, any company doing simulation. We have, I think at latest count, close to 900 employees, maybe almost 1,000 now, here in India, across the spectrum of support engineers, our go-to-market teams, our marketing teams. We have a lot of R&D here in India, and really our local India customers, as well as the multinational companies that have set up operations here in India. They're constantly pushing us to continue to advance the adoption of simulation within their organizations and across India overall. I would say really the things that we think about in terms of how we, engage with the India market is, first of all, our existing customers, we want to make sure they get the maximum ROI on their investment in simulation, because if that's happening, then they'll continue to invest. They'll do more simulation. We found there's almost a limitless appetite for simulation as companies see more and more ROI, and they can become more and more productive doing simulation. So that's an important part. We also stay very engaged with the capacity building in terms of the skills development programs that the government in India is very active on, and I would say very proactive in doing a great job. So we have a lot of programs where we're helping at the grassroots level with that skills development, with programs, again, to put, we have some, let's call it more basic simulation technology. Simulation technology can get very advanced, and a lot of the users of simulation are expert, kind of at the expert level, but we want to put it in the hands of more and more people, and we have some technology that we do that through some of the skills development programs, from the governments. And, I touched a little bit on the research part and the academic part, but that's a very important aspect of this also. We sponsor a lot of competitions with various universities to get people excited and experimenting with different different aspects of simulation. And then also very important is to maintain a sort of a healthy relationship and support of the startup community. So India has an amazing startup community. Every time I come here and the team shows me the list of startups that we've engaged with in the last quarter, the last few months, it's I don't think there's anything like it anywhere in the world right now in terms of the numbers there. And so we have a lot of programs and people dedicated to be sure that we are enabling those startups so that they can, get to the next level and become larger companies that are going to hire more people and develop great products right here in India.
Well, Mike, you seem to be doing all the right things in India today. And
we've got a lot of help. It's a great team. We have a great team here in India, so we're very fortunate.
Okay, closing question, Mike. We have a very active and variety in our audience, and but most of them love tech, right? And what are tips for success that you would like to share with some of our audiences for leaders who are actually trying to build successful tech organizations? What are your top 3 or 4 tips that you would like to leave them with?
Thanks for that question. And first of all, I think India is doing great. So I'm not sure that necessarily any of my advice is going to be sort of life changing or brand new for the.
That's your humility, Mike. But you've been doing this for 30 years now.
Very good, but yeah, I think there's a few things. When we look at what's going on in India again, India is really, I think, coming up the curve very quickly. Again, we know that several decades ago, this kind of started with some multinationals. I think originally it was a semiconductor company started coming to India and, opening design centers and of course many other industries have followed. Now you've got, the Indian companies that are competing on a global stage. You have startups in India now going after very complicated, big idea projects. Startups in automotive, that's a big undertaking. Startups in the space business, that's a big multi-year undertaking, and it just, I think, underscores, the seriousness of kind of where India is in all this. So, I would say a couple of things that come to mind is, number one, I would urge tech companies and tech organizations to, innovate in India. Okay, there's always the opportunity to do joint ventures and technology partnerships with other companies from around the world, and I think that's great. But it's also very important that that the innovation is happening, here in India, and that the companies are building these products in India. So I think that's a very important part. Mm-hmm. I would, I also think that the engagement with the government entities and the skills development programs, and making sure that stays robust, and that you continue to have that support from your government agencies and universities to build out the skills. Because there is a big shortage of engineers in the world with this knowledge and this capability. So I think that's very important. Look at sort of having strategic engagement with your customers. So mm-hmm. from the Ansys standpoint, we don't really like to be in a transactional mode. We're always looking to have long-term relationships with our customers mm-hmm. and long-term engagements where we can sit down and prioritize together. And it's really, I think, the best way to engage with your customers. I would also, if you're looking for suppliers, look first in India, see if there's some startups maybe that are building some of these components or subsystems that you need for your overall system. I think that's very important. And then, last but not least is, when it comes to the talent, right, find people that are passionate about whatever it is that your company or organization is, has set up as its North Star, and then provide them with a lot of simulation technology. Okay, so they've got the ability to innovate and give them the freedom to go out there and just create amazing things. And I think if you can do some of those things and maybe have a little bit of luck, it's probably going to go pretty good and be great for India. So I'm excited to be part of the market here in India. I get excited every time I get a chance to come here, and I can't wait to see what I learn next time, because I always learn something new on every trip to India.
Thank you. That was a very holistic assessment and advice for our viewers, because you touched upon becoming a partner from a vendor. Easier said than done. How do you really transform yourself, your mindset around it? You endorse the startups in India. That's great. India has more than 30,000 startups today, tech startups today. And finding passionate people, I think that's the secret sauce, right? If you get that, 90% of your problem is solved. So thank you, Mike, for a very freewheeling and insightful discussion. I'm just referring to my notes, and Ansys actually operates in a very unique space, right? One which I think is set to explode as organizations, invest more in emerging tech. When they do that, what's most important? Speed, cost, accuracy, go-to-market, right? I think these are very essential items, essential factors which will actually allow you to use your dollars if more effectively. And simulation not only save time and money, but also enhances your overall global go-to-market. So viewers, I hope you like this leader talk. Please like, share, and subscribe the NASCOM Insights channel, and we look forward to having you in some of our future leader talks. So please join in. Thank you.